Nope.
What's up, you guys? It's James from James Tails. In today's video, I'm going to be going over some isopod stuff, collecting some eggs, and talking a bunch of nonsense. You can see my blue beauty over there, out and about. He's probably really hungry. I don't know why. Rat snakes eat a lot. He ate Saturday. You can see all the tubs of geckos I sold. And down there, you can see what the next video is going to be about. Like I was saying, I like to keep enough females around so they consistently lay clutches, and that way when the clutches are hatching, because once you start hatching, they'll just consistently start hatching. I like to have a clutch every week. It just adds something new. You know, I can post on Instagram. Just get new geckos every week to take pictures of, so it works out in my favor to do it that way. So since I already rolled these eggs, I'm gonna rub a lot of dirt off of them, and they don't look the best, but this group is actually my Dalmatian group, and all the females, two of the females have only laid like one clutch each that I know of, and one of them's laid like 2. So realistically, none of them have been laying for that long. So I'm gonna add them to this one. I'm gonna set you guys down and grab a Sharpie. And I'm gonna pull my phone out and candle these eggs. Basically what I'm looking for is this red little veiny Cheerio looking thing to be at the top. And what that does is essentially just helps your chance of... Oh, I dropped an egg. That's not the best thing. And basically what that does is it increases your chance of hatching. There's all sorts of factors that go into eggs not hatching. Whether it's infertile, whether they're damaged, whether they dry. There's a lot of different things. And one study showed that if you put them upright, there's like a higher percentage that they will hatch. And if you don't do that, if you do them exactly how they're laid, which sometimes they're laid even upside down, it's strange. But if you do it like that, they oftentimes... I don't know why I wrote... Oh, I know what I did. Okay. They'll oftentimes hatch bigger, but they just won't hatch as often. And the date is 6/12? 6/12. 20... Pardon me. And then I write 2G for 2 good eggs, so I know if one hatches and one doesn't. You know, I when I collected them, I knew they were both good, so... That glove's trash. Whenever I put them in the thing, I always just grab a new glove. Just because, I don't know, I don't have a real reason for that. But let's grab a new glove and we'll check and see how the gargoyles are doing. So there's the male, and here's my new female. She hangs out in this tree a lot. So I thought I saw eggs in her yesterday. Kind of feels like she's got eggs in her. I'm gonna check in here anyway. It doesn't look like she's been in here. I'm just waiting on my first clutch of gargoyle eggs. Of course, when the first clutch hatches, I got a line of people who want them. And, you know, I'm gonna raise up the first couple and have them, get them sexed really early as best I can. Just keep back females and grow my group. Who knows what I'm line breeding for at this point, but I'll just grow whatever look the coolest. So in terms of my fat tails, I think honestly what I'm going to do is just end up selling them off. I'll probably just slowly post them on MorphMarket. And actually, one thing I do want to talk about is the SAC show. The SAC show is officially canceled for this year. Jeremy, the guy who puts it on, he said in a Facebook post that it was canceled for the year but that next year he thinks he's gonna start doing it twice a year, which would be kick butt. And on top of that, those are some eggs right there. So this project's only laid one clutch so far. I started it very late in the season, and these animals did not cycle at all. That is a Super Snow Radar, bred to a white and yellow possible snow bell head eclipse, also a snow radar. So those are two good eggs. I want to say they're from the snow radar. She's the one I know laid the clutch last time, and it's been about a month, and she looks thin, and that would coincide with, you know, it makes sense. So these two eggs are definitely going in the incubator, which is now turned to male, which I kind of wish I didn't do. One thing I definitely need to do for next year, especially if I'm going to expand my leopards at least into another group, is get a separate incubator. So plans for next year: add a group, get an incubator, and get another hatchling rack. But let's put these eggs away. And I think this is how I picked them up. So I'm just going to hold them just like this and just put them away like this. Alright, so let's take a look at some isopods. I've been coming back to these a lot, but they're beginning to become a staple of the channel, a mainstay, if you will. These are my clowns. They're definitely, they have definitely been the hardest ones I've had. Come on, little buddy. There you go. Whatever. As long as he's not stuck on the leaf. But like I said, they've definitely been the hardest. There's a bunch of babies right there, or what they call minkai. I see these, I've been seeing these a lot, but I just can't seem to get them to grow past that stage. I know as soon as they do, they'll start thriving once the first clutch gets really big, because they'll be used to my environment, the ones that make it to adulthood. And I think part of it is because there's so many springtails, as you can see on this leaf. I don't know if that camera picks that up. Because there's so many springtails, I think that might be prohibiting the babies from growing a little bit. And you know, if the babies grow into adults and they eat, then the springtail population will go down. But basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to be going through all my isopod cultures, just getting rid of any of this mold I see. I was going through them this morning and I just saw a lot and just need to get rid of it. So lots of springtails. Anytime I start a new colony, if I want it to have springtails, I take a leaf out of this one and shake it in, after I make sure there's no babies on it, of course. So I do have a tendency to overfeed because I just love doing it. These guys, I've been separating these guys a little bit. Any of the bluest adults, bluest and orangest adults, I take them out and put them into separate colonies. And once I'm confident in my other colonies, that one's really orange. I need some more orange. Once I'm confident in my colonies, I'll just sell this one off. Probably not the whole colony. I'll probably, you know, bag them and take them to shows, and because I don't want to sell them in a big group and not make as much. I'd rather sell them slightly on their own. I gave them some old crested gecko food. It was like the third time using it, and I kept putting it in the fridge and taking it out, and I don't think it's good anymore. So I'm gonna actually take this leaf, make sure there's nothing on it, and throw that whole leaf away. But I am excited for all my isopods to do well. I think it's an awesome project. I think people are really getting into them, and I think I definitely have a chance to do it right and to make a lot of progress in the, because the market for them is so, I don't want to say small, but it's still new. The market is still so new that anyone can really jump in right now, and you know, with a couple months of just reinvesting, you can be like your local isopod guy really fast, just because it's so new. So Dwarf Whites, I really want my Dwarf White colony to get a lot bigger. I know there's a lot in here already, but I feel like every time I open it, I just don't see that many. So, and I'm pretty sure they hide a lot. Oh, and the crab eye. I left the crab eye in here for so long. And they're all over it, but it's already moldy and gross. So I'm just gonna shake a bunch of them off. best way I know how. And then chug it. Gross. Yeah, and then some of this mold I'll probably just leave just for Springtails, but you can see there's a ton in here. There's a ton of Dwarf Whites. I should post on Facebook again that I have them and just sell someone like a little cup full of them for like 20 bucks. I know they are going up. The guy I got them from when I originally got my first ice pods, I got $10 was quote unquote 30, but he sent me a deli cup with like 100 in it, and he just wrote on the top a lot. But the same guy also upped his prices, so they've gone up like 40%. I think they're at like $14. And you know, if they're going up, now would be a good time to sell some before they drop. And remember, people, buy low, sell high. So this is my second Dwarf White colony. Starting to see some Mankai in there for sure. Definitely some Springtails, but I really just wanted a second colony. I'm kind of eventually want a second colony of everything. I mean, I have this space and there's not too many ice pods that I really want, so I might as well utilize the space I have, and I can potentially save myself from overselling a colony or being able to have enough to take to shows. These white duckies, the babies are getting so big, the first clutch of babies, and the adults are getting so big. There's like a thing where, like, if the animal's like a teenager, like a human, sure, they're adult sized, but they haven't like filled in yet. But then say you turn like 25, you start really filling in, right? Even though you've technically been an adult for a while. So these guys, they can, like, any animal can breed, but then, you know, once it's bred a couple times and it's like actually older, they start just getting like large in size. It's kind of weird, but I'm starting to see less and less activity in here, which is scary. But I know there's babies. I know there's definitely babies in here, so I kind of want to just let it grow on its own. I think certain ones, I think this one likes the fish food. I noticed as I put food in that certain ones don't like certain foods. And this, of course, is my powder oranges, which I am taking out of my little mix that I have. So there's only like 3 or 4 in here, because I only picked the best of the best orange. I don't want to have to re-pick a bunch out later. But I'm sure, you know, I'll find some more babies in my original colony and throw them in here, and eventually this will be a thriving powder orange colony. Oh, you can see one right there, and there's another one, and eventually they'll have babies and it'll be awesome. But starting a powder orange colony with like 3 is really it just feels like it's not gonna work, but I know deep inside it probably will. And then I picked the nicest powder blues. There's definitely a bunch in here. When I bought them, they were powder blues, but as they started to have babies, orange ones started to pop out, so I definitely have been trying to maintain that. And you can already see in my bucket of discards, there's a couple ones in there. I think those are just the native ones I collected, so that's why I'm not too worried about it. I know there's some Dwarf Whites on the crab eye, but that can't really be helped. They produce so fast it doesn't matter. And these guys are my favorite at the moment, probably even more so than the white duckies, just because they're so new to me anyway. And these are the Priscilly Haasii. I moved, look, you can see babies already. I had the smaller piece in the back and the bigger piece in the front, and that just didn't really make sense anymore because they like the dry area, so they really like the back, because I spray the front obviously. So I imagined they would have all moved already, but yeah, see, there's a bunch on there. But I figured I'd give them the bigger piece, so when I lift it up I can really check them out and kind of get an idea. And their poops are the biggest I ever seen out of any of my colonies. I've never really noticed the poops yet until I got to these guys. That's crazy. But I love these guys, they're beautiful. I'm gonna let the Mankai, they've been having a lot, I'm gonna let the Mankai grow up, and probably pick out some nice bright yellow ones to keep, and eventually post some other ones, because if I can sell a couple of those, once I can really start selling, you know, these two, the clowns and the duckies, I can start making a lot of money off the isopods. And I've made a little money back already, definitely not as much as I put into these. If we're including the rack, I've probably spent about $1,000 on isopods, and that's not to brag. That's just, you know, that's my take on it. You know, if I'm gonna go into it, I'm gonna go in all the way, because I know personally that I can make the money back myself. So if I don't jump into it, then making the money back isn't as worth it, because I wouldn't be making as much. So I jumped into it, and once I, you know, they call it the burn rate. Once I pay back that initial, and once I'm past the burn rate, I will definitely be making a lot of money, just because of the way I jumped into them. So nevertheless, I'm James from James Reptiles. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it wasn't super educational. It was just kind of like some stuff I had to do in the reptile room, and I figured, you know, not everyone gets to enjoy that, or you know, you might see stuff in here that I do that might make you want to try it in your reptile room. So nevertheless, I'm James from James Reptiles. Make sure to stay tuned for next video to see what I'm doing with that tank. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. All that definitely helps out the channel. Comment what you think I'm going to put in that tank, and remember, enjoy the hobby. Catch you guys next time.